Hello, my name's Richard, and I just wanted to make a short video following the interview that Luca and I put out of me speaking in 9 languages, answering questions about my language learning experience and my thoughts on the process. Seeing quite a lot of comments come through on various channels, and my attention was brought to this comment here, which is on the queue. Right, and it says, as regards to the social aspect, I'm amazed that Richard can find many people from countries in Western or Central Europe who would actually want to speak in a language other than English. I'd be really surprised. I know that a lot of people find it difficult to speak a language when they go abroad. I've actually never had this problem. I'm very lucky in that respect. I know that a lot of people want to speak English, that's true. I've often found that a very easy way of getting around that, if that does occur, which I've got to say hasn't happened that often, but if it ever does, what I say is, I really appreciate that you're trying to help me by speaking English, but I really want to speak your language. I've come to your country to do that, and I'd really appreciate it if you could help me by letting me practice with you. And then I find that people are really quite happy, and they speak to me and correct me and help me, and yeah, on the whole, really, I've a really positive experience with that. So that's the way I've got around it, if it's ever heard. With regards to people wanting, well, to be honest, I mean, at the moment I live in a place where, I don't actually know how good people's English is, because I never use it outside the house. I only speak it with my daughter, and I know that people speak it, and I can hear them speak to foreigners that don't speak Macedonian or Albanian or Turkish or whatever, and they seem to be able to get by. But there are quite a lot of people that still don't speak English very well, and in fact, the level that I have in a number of languages is possibly higher than the average of the country in English. So I don't come across a lot of people telling me not to speak their language or anything like that, and they are quite happy that I've made the effort to learn it. Now, when I'm in the UK, my way of doing this is very different. It's one of the reasons why I don't particularly like living in the UK, because as somebody that loves languages, it's linguistically not that interesting for me. In the UK, I'm British. My first language is English, and I do think that there's an etiquette in speaking languages, and anybody that comes to my country, even if I think that I can maybe communicate my ideas, understand their ideas more efficiently if we spoke a different language, I would respect them for having come to my country to learn my language and speak to them in my language. So, I mean, I've come across people that speak some languages that I have at the highest levels that I studied, and I still speak to them in English, and I think that that's important, because it's respect to somebody as another language learner, and I think that's something that we could all do, really. The downside is, if you're in your own country and everyone speaks to you in your own language, which is often the case for native English speakers, it's difficult to find people to speak with in a different language. I'm really sorry for this guy that found the opposite to what I've seen travelling around. People who don't talk to me like that or speak to me in that way in person, thinking that I'm a dumb gringo. First of all, I'm not American, so I mean, they wouldn't say that. I mean, most people are actually quite pleasant. If people aren't pleasant, then really, do you want to be speaking to them anyway? I don't. I like speaking to nice people. I don't really particularly like speaking to horrible people. And yeah, there's enough to choose from the nice ones. You can avoid the horrible ones. Yeah, Dutch actually, things have changed in the Netherlands a lot in the last few years. When I was there were still a lot of foreigners that were living there that didn't really speak Dutch very well, and when they tried to speak, people would reply in English. But the last time I went, I noticed that Dutch people actually do speak a lot more Dutch to foreigners. when I was there, particularly, no one spoke to me in English or tried to, but I never really told them that I wasn't anything else. The language or nationality never came up in any conversations with any Dutch people that I spoke to. So I just spoke Dutch because that's the national language, and that was it. But I heard from friends that they'd witnessed the same thing that I saw when I was there. That yeah, in fact, Dutch people now seem to be a lot more ready to speaking with foreigners in Dutch, and if they think English might be an easier option, especially if the foreigners making an effort. So yeah, people speaking to me in English. Well, I've got to honestly say that the person I speak to in English is my daughter, and that's because I really want her to speak English. It's an important language, and it would be really stupid of me to refuse point blank to speak English. As much as I love languages, and English is my first, I recognise that English is an important language, and I think the language is quite beautiful. And the reason why songs are often quite popular as well, because English songs sound nice. I mean, but foreigners wanting to speak English, well, yeah, some will want to speak to practice, and I'm not against that. But you know, if you've chosen to live abroad, I think that there's a level of respect. People tend to say, okay, look, this guy obviously speaks our language. Why are we going to speak in another one now? Yeah, I hope that answers that question. And anybody wishing to or facing this problem, this happens to a lot of native English speakers. So any of you guys out there thinking, God, I never have this, but if you're a native English speaker, you might identify with this if you spent a year abroad or time abroad and you've not been able to use the language. This is a problem that I have come across that other people told me about, and the simple phrase appreciate that you're trying to make things easy for me and be nice about it. You know, they're not always trying to speak English because they think you're rubbish at their language. Sometimes it's they think that they're trying to be nice and do you a favour. So if you're courteous back and then say, I really, really want to speak your language better and I've come here to do that, then you'll find that most people are decent human beings and they'll accommodate you. Okay, well I hope that was a useful feedback for people learning languages, and I thought it was worthwhile making a short video on this just to highlight what I think and where I'm coming from and my experience.